Hello, and welcome to day 14 of Business English 2. We have been looking at subject and verb agreement, and remember that the subject and verb must agree with each other, and sometimes we'll abbreviate that with the letters SV for subject verb or VF for verb form. That just means that you must have the correct verb to go with your subject, with the noun or pronoun that you're using as your subject. When we went through the exercises in our last class, one of the examples, one of the questions was number 18. Your pants are at the cleaners. Now, in this case, the cleaners refers to a dry cleaners, where they basically use a chemical liquid, a chemical substance, to release stains and soil, dirt, food, just dust from your clothes, rather than using water. So that's why it's called a dry cleaners. And a lot of them, of course, also do laundry. So you might have a dry cleaner and laundry shop. And the laundry is where they would actually wash your clothes like you do at home normally with a washing machine and some sort of liquid detergent and, of course, water. So I told you that we wanted to look at this a little bit more and talk about cleaners a little bit because there's a really interesting expression related to the cleaners that is also related to money, to financial situations a lot of times. And that expression is, they took us to the cleaners. They took us to the cleaners. Or, like I've got over here, you can take someone to the cleaners. Okay? So what does that mean? What do you think it means? Any ideas? Well, have you ever taken anything to the cleaners? Have you ever taken a shirt, a pair of pants, a dress, a coat to the cleaners to have it dry cleaned? If so, when you hand them your item that has to be cleaned, what is the first thing they do with that item? Now, of course, they will get your name, your phone number. They'll ask you how many items you have. But once you actually hand them the jacket, the pair of pants, the suit to be cleaned, what do they do? They will check it for damage. They want to make sure that if there's a tear, a rip, some sort of a missing button or something, that they find that before they take it. That way, uh, they are not responsible if, when you get it back, if you say, hey, look, there's a missing button, you lost my button. If they check it before you leave, as when you first give it to them, they can look for any pre-existing damage to the clothing. Pre-existing means it existed before they got it. It already had a missing button or a tear, a hole somewhere. Okay? The other thing they do is they will check all of the pockets. They'll look in shirt pockets or pants pockets, jacket pockets. They'll unzip everything and they'll reach inside to make sure that you haven't accidentally left something inside the clothing. Now, obviously, you don't want to leave money or keys or something like that in your clothes, but also they're looking for things like um, chewing gum or a Kleenex tissue or an ink pen. Because if those things are put inside their machines, an ink pen could break open, chewing gum could melt, a tissue will just fall apart into a million little pieces, and then they'll have that ink or gum or tissue all over their machines, and also your clothes and other people's clothes, which can cause damage or ruin things completely sometimes. So they want to go through your pockets and take everything out. Okay. Um, have you ever washed something at home and found out when you took it out of the washer that there had been a Kleenex or a piece of gum inside the pocket? It can create a horrible, horrible mess. Now, a clue here or a tip. Um, I always buy the Kleenex tissues, like the 3-ply, the 3-layer. Um, they are much better in the washing machine than the really cheap ones. The really cheap ones just fall apart. These actually aren't. It's not good, but it's not a total disaster like uh, like the cheaper ones are. Also, in Korea, you normally don't use, or a lot of people don't use hot air dryers to dry their clothes. So if you leave a piece of chewing gum, unless you're using really, really hot water, that probably won't melt like it would. But in the US, most people use electric clothes dryers, which can get very hot. And so if you have chewing gum or something, it'll melt, or a piece of candy or something, it can make a huge mess. And a lot of times just ruin clothing and stuff. Okay, so take something to the cleaners, they go through the pockets. Same idea. If you take someone to the cleaners, you go through their pockets. You empty their pockets. So basically, it means taking all of their money, getting everything from them. So if somebody takes you to the cleaners, they have somehow taken all of your money. They have gotten your assets. So let's look at the definition here from a dictionary. To take to the cleaners. If you take someone to the cleaners, if we look at the definition here, that means to take a lot of someone's money. And that could be money. It could also be property, um, something of value, a watch, a phone, uh, like in a business transaction, or some valuable like gold or something like that. Jewelry would be a common thing. So if you take a lot of someone's money, you swindle them. Okay. So what does the word swindle mean? And you'll notice I have several vocabulary words off on the side here that we're going to be looking at. So to swindle someone, to swindle, and by the way, for a lot of these, I'm using dictionary.com. I really like this one because it's easy to remember. It's just dictionary.com. And you can use that on, of course, a computer. You can also use that on your cell phone. I believe they might actually have an app for smartphones and it's a really easy, quick way to look words up. Now, sometimes if I want more information or I want a different meaning or I want some more examples, I might also use some other dictionaries, such as these are named after people. Merriam-Webster. That's actually two different people that two different companies that had developed dictionaries. Now they've merged, so it's Merriam-Webster. And let me see. And I believe their website is simply Merriam dash or hyphen Webster.com. There's also Cambridge and Oxford, like the named after the universities. Cambridge and Oxford also have good online English dictionaries. So I use a combination of those, depending on if I'm looking for maybe an older meaning or a different usage. Cambridge and Oxford, especially if I'm looking for maybe the British usage of something. So these are all really useful, and of course, as I mentioned, dictionary.com here. That's usually the first one I look at. Or, of course, if you just use Google, and if you Google a word, and then what you do is type the word and then meaning. So you might type swindle meaning, or you could type swindle definition, and that will that will direct you to one of these dictionary sites, or a list of those dictionary sites. Okay, so swindle, the word we're looking at here, swindle, is a verb, and it can mean to cheat. To cheat a person, a business, etc. Etc. means and so on. We do not say etc. That actually comes from, I believe it's Latin, etc., which means and so on, and the other things, and so forth. Okay, but we write etc. period. etc. period is the abbreviation of etc. But remember, with abbreviations, the abbreviation is the written form here. That's the written form. So it's a shorter way of writing it, but we actually say the original word, etc. Etc. Not et. The T is kind of silent, but etc. etc. Okay? So it means to cheat a person, a business, etc. out of money or other assets. So like I mentioned, it could be money or jewelry or diamonds or gold or property or anything of value. Okay? So to cheat somebody, or to obtain by fraud or deceit. Okay, and you'll notice I've got those over here also. So if you cheat someone, you uh, you get something from them, but what you give them is of very little value or no value. You trick them in some way. Fraud and deceit is like lying or giving false information in order to get something from somebody. Okay, so if you're not familiar with these words, you can look those up. I think you probably know basically what those mean. But so to swindle someone is to get something from them, to get something by fraud or deceit. This one, to put forward plausible schemes. Plausible means somewhat believable, sounds reasonable, schemes, a plan, or use unscrupulous trickery. Unscrupulous is like dishonest, trickery, some sort of, again, deceit, to defraud others, to cheat them. Okay? Some other definitions here. I don't remember which dictionary this is. Okay, this you can see here is from Cambridge. Okay, I wanted another definition, so I looked this one up. This is on Cambridge. To take someone to the cleaners means to take a lot of someone's money to swindle them. And the examples here. The lawyers took the insurance company to the cleaners, but I still didn't get enough money to pay for my losses. Now, this isn't necessarily fraud. Okay, this one is more the first definition, to take a lot of someone's money. The lawyers took the insurance company to the cleaners. So you had an insurance claim of some sort for injury or an accident or a fire or some sort of theft, but you had to get lawyers to fight the insurance company to get as much for you as they possibly could. The lawyers took the insurance company to the cleaners. They emptied their pockets. You got a big settlement. You got a lot of money. But I still didn't get enough to pay for my losses. So in this case, even though the insurance company got a big settlement, got a lot of money for you, it still wasn't enough. Your loss was still more than what they got. Okay. The second definition, to swindle, to cheat someone. Here we have the con artists took the old man to the cleaners. A con artist. A con artist is a deceiver, a fraud, a cheat, meaning a person who does that. So, for example, someone who tricks someone into investing in some property that doesn't exist, or they want you to send a certain amount of money so that they can process some payment for you. So you see a lot of these in internet scams, email phishing scams, or phone phishing. The people who do these things are con artists. They're trying to con you, to trick you, to deceive you somehow. Okay? It can also mean to defeat or best someone. To best them means to win, to defeat them. We took the other team to the cleaners. We took the other team to the cleaners. So in sports, in basketball or baseball or soccer, we took them to the cleaners means we really beat them. We beat them badly. Or look at the height they've got. This would be more for basketball. They'll take us to the cleaners. They're going to beat us. They're going to beat us. They're going to take us to the cleaners. Okay? So it's not always financial, but it can just mean to beat someone. Okay? Let's look at this one at the bottom. To cheat someone of money. Some people say the company took them to the cleaners by charging double for some services. So some companies will do this. They're dishonest. They will charge extra for a service or a product, or they will secretly add on other expenses or fees that were unexpected that they did not tell you about. Maybe they tell you it's $100 and you get the bill and it's $200. Oh yes, there's this insurance or taxes or um, supplies or travel fees or something like that. So they will try to cheat you. Okay? So you could say they took us to the cleaners. They got more than we had agreed to or more than they should have. Okay? Some more definitions here. To take or cheat one, to cheat someone out of all of their money or possessions. As in, for example, her divorce her divorce lawyer took him to the cleaners. Her divorce lawyer took him to the cleaners. So a couple getting a divorce, her lawyer took him to the cleaners. So she had a better lawyer than the man did. So they took him to the cleaners. They got his property, his investments, his car, the house, his retirement plan. She got a large portion of his possessions or property or assets. I had a friend in the U.S. And he got divorced, and he had a house that he had bought very cheap, but he had restored it. He'd done a lot of work and restoration, construction, knew everything, made it beautiful. He had a great retirement plan, a pension plan from his job. When they got divorced, she got half of everything. Even though she also had a job, she still got half of his retirement plan. She got half of the value of the house that he had purchased and fixed up before they ever met. Her divorce lawyer took him to the cleaners. She got everything. Okay, or another example. That broker, like a stockbroker, that broker has taken a number of clients to the cleaners. So maybe through some uh, investments that were not legitimate, that were not real, the broker lied, cheated, got people to invest money, and then ran off with their money, or ran some sort of fraudulent investment scheme or strategy. The broker got rich, but the investors lost everything. Okay? Let's look at this one at the bottom here. To take all the money or possessions of, especially by outsmarting or swindling. So you could outsmart someone and take them to the cleaners. If you have a bet with a friend and you're smarter than them, maybe you could win. You can take them to the cleaners. You can get all of the money. You play a card game or something, and if you're better than them, you take them to the cleaners. You beat everybody. Okay? So let's look at an example here. This is obviously a meme from the internet. He says, "My name is Inigo Montoya. My ex-wife took me to the cleaners." So he got divorced. His ex-wife took him to the cleaners, like the examples we just looked at. Prepare to hear all about it. So this is a meme, obviously. It's taken from a movie called The Princess Bride. And this is the little clip from the movie that this is talking about.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Okay, I apologize. The volume on that is not very loud. I've tried to raise it to increase the volume in PowerPoint, and for some reason it won't. It's just a very quiet clip. So you may need to listen to it again. But the what he says is actually at the bottom of the screen there.
Hello.
So he says,
my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Okay, so hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. So that's the original line from the movie. The meme changes the idea here. My name is Inigo Montoya. My ex-wife took me to the cleaners. Instead of prepare to die, prepare to hear all about it. So his face is used on quite a few internet memes. But that's what it's in reference to. So he's saying, hey, my ex-wife got all my money. She got the property. She got the Mercedes and the apartment. Prepare to hear all about it. I'm going to tell you my story. Okay, and I think we've already gone over all of these other definitions. So if you need to write those down, look those up, please do so. Okay. All right, so let's talk for a minute about scams. Okay. Again, a scam is basically a plan, a method of cheating somebody, of taking advantage of them, of using some sort of fraud or deceit to cheat them. So the scam is the method of cheating, defrauding, or deceiving somebody. And a common form of scams is accident scams. And this footage is actually from Korea, from I believe it's KBS. So let's take a look at the video here.
At a crosswalk without a traffic light, a car rolls over the line. Then, in an instant, a man runs from the sidewalk and tumbles onto the car. The man purposely threw himself at the car, which had already come to a halt.
이거는 제가 지구받고 당한 기분이에요. 저는 그 누구든지 그런 상상은 안 할 거예요 아마.
The failed swindler who faked a car accident to receive compensation turned out to be a 38-year-old graduate school student. A man holds back a parking enforcement vehicle after he was found to have parked his car illegally. He pleaded with the officers to cancel the penalties, but after failing to achieve what he wanted, the driver came before the car and suddenly collapsed. The parking enforcement officer was forced to revoke the penalties. Police identified 4 more similar cases by re-examining car accidents for which drivers claimed to be innocent over the past 3 months.
운전자들이 도저히 이상하다. 이거는 정말 이상하다라는 부분에 대해서 저희가 캡처를 하게 됐고.
Police have asked drivers to make a report if they are involved in what appears to be a car accident scam. Officials say it is possible to identify staged auto accidents through the examination of black boxes, surveillance cameras, and insurance benefit payment records.
Okay, so let's look at this again, kind of line by line.
At a crosswalk without a traffic light.
Okay, so this is a crosswalk where you can walk across the street. At a crosswalk without a light, there's no stop light here, no red light.
A car rolls over the line.
A car rolls over the line. So you roll over the line, you cross the line.
Then, in an instant, a man runs from the sidewalk.
Then,
at a crosswalk without a traffic light, a car rolls over the line.
Then, in an instant, a man runs in front of the vehicle.
Then, in an instant, a man runs from the sidewalk and tumbles onto the car.
He tumbles onto the car. To tumble is to kind of roll. So, like in gymnastics, tumblers, they roll. So he tumbles onto the car. The car is already stopped. He rolls across the front of the car here. The front of the car in American English is called the hood of the car. In British English, they call it the bonnet. Like a bonnet is like a type of hat. Okay? Like a woman would wear a bonnet. So the victim here is not the man who hit the car, but the victim is actually the driver. He says he jumped at my car on purpose. If you do something on purpose, it is intentional. We don't, if it's on purpose, it's not accidental. It is on purpose, intentional. He jumped at my car on purpose. He did it intentionally. Call the police. I'm trying to get the control bar to pop up here.
The man purposely threw himself at the car, which had already come to a halt.
The car had already come to a halt. A halt means the car had come to a stop. You can also use that as a command. Halt means stop. So the victim, again, the driver, says, it made me feel out of my mind. In English, I would probably say, it made me crazy. It was driving me insane. It made me crazy. It made me insane. It really bothered me. No one would imagine that somebody would do that.
The failed swindler who faked a car accident to receive...
Sorry. I hate these controls. It keeps... my control bar here keeps disappearing.
The failed swindler.
The failed swindler. That's the term they use there. The failed swindler.
The failed swindler who faked a car accident to receive compensation turned out to be a 38-year-old graduate school student.
So this guy turned out to be, it was discovered, turned out to be a graduate student. So right now, you guys are doing your 4-year degrees. You are now what's called an undergraduate. You are undergraduate students. Undergraduate means that you have not graduated yet. So the noun to describe you, we could also shorten that to say you are undergrads. You have not graduated from university yet. You are undergrads. Okay? This guy was a graduate student, which means he has graduated from university, but he's still a student. So he's studying for a master's degree or a PhD. Okay? Either a master's or a PhD. A PhD is a doctoral or a doctorate degree. Okay?
The failed swindler who faked a car accident to receive compensation turned out to be a 38-year-old graduate school student. A man The failed swindler who faked a car accident to receive compensation turned out to be a 38-year-old graduate school student. A man holds back a parking enforcement vehicle.
So here a man holds back a parking enforcement vehicle. So you've seen these cars or vans that give parking tickets and things like that. So this guy is holding back. He's delaying this person from doing their job.
After he was found to have parked his car illegally.
So after he was found to have parked his car illegally, and I don't know if they mean this one or maybe this one. So the parking enforcement officer says, "It's over, sir. Don't keep me. Don't delay me. Let me do my job."
He pleaded with the officers.
He pleaded with the officers. He pleaded. Please, please, please don't give me a ticket. That's pleading, begging. Okay. He pleaded. He begged. Don't give me a ticket, please.
To cancel the penalties, but after failing to achieve what he wanted, the driver came before the car and suddenly collapsed.
So he didn't get what he wanted. The guy gave him a ticket, or the woman gave him a ticket, and then he got in front of the car and collapsed. Ah! Oh, you hit me! No, he didn't. Okay, it was fake. He's trying to deceive or cheat.
The parking enforcement officer was forced to revoke the penalty.
So the parking enforcement officer was forced to revoke, to cancel the penalty. He said, "Okay, fine. Give me the ticket. Just give me the ticket back. I give up. Fine." Okay, so this guy got what he wanted, basically. Oh, I hate these controls.
He pleaded with the officers to cancel the penalties, but after failing to achieve what he wanted, the driver came before the car and suddenly collapsed. The parking enforcement officer was forced to revoke the penalties.
Give me the ticket. Okay, fine. Give me the ticket. Just don't park like that again.
Police identified 4 more similar cases by re-examining car accidents for which drivers claimed to be innocent over the past 3 months.
운전자들이 도저히 이상하다.
So notice this man standing in the street trying to get somebody to hit him or almost hit him, basically so he can get some insurance money.
이거는 정말 이상하다라는 부분에 대해서 저희가 캡처를 하게 됐고.
Police have asked drivers to make a report if they are involved in what appears to be a car accident scam. Officials say it is possible to identify staged auto accidents through the examination of black boxes, surveillance cameras, and insurance benefit payment records.
So they can examine surveillance cameras. So like on stores or businesses, basically CCTV cameras, or the black boxes from cars, or insurance payment records. So some of these people, if they look at insurance payment records, they have a history of, they were involved in an accident last year and 6 months ago and 2 months ago, and last week. They have a history of this. So it can become clear that they have a pattern or a history of creating these fake accidents.
In what appears to be a car accident scam, officials say it is possible to identify staged auto accidents through the examination of black boxes, surveillance cameras, and insurance benefit payment records.
And that is from KBS News. Okay. The other thing they said here is they can recognize staged accidents. Staged, like acting. They're pretending to be hurt. Okay. So let's look at another example of this type of accident scam, or somebody attempting to defraud or deceive to receive some sort of insurance payment. See how that cat just walks right in front of the car or the bicycle and just lays down trying to collect some sort of insurance payment. That is clearly a staged accident. The bicycle did not actually hit him. He's just pretending to be hit so he can collect an insurance payment. Okay. I love that. Smart cat. All right, let's take a look at another example here. This man that you see in the video here, his name is James Veach. James Veach. And basically, he's a comedian. But what he has done is all of us receive internet, email, scam attempts. People who send us emails trying to get our bank details, our credit card numbers, our mailing addresses, our phone numbers, our passwords. And these are all types of internet scams, usually conducted through email or websites that look authentic, real or legitimate, not deceptive. And normally when you get those, you should just delete them, block them, mark them as spam, and just ignore them, right? That's what most of us do. Well, James Veach says, nope, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to play with them. I'm going to play the game and have fun with them and basically waste their time. Okay, so this is a video of James Veach doing that.
I'm James Veach. I get a ton of scam emails, but instead of deleting them, I decided to hit reply. I got an email about some diamonds. Here's what happened. I got your contact from a South African health officer in Ghana. I find that unlikely. I need to move 1,000 carats of polished diamond. Equally unlikely. Note, this transaction is 100% risk-free and does not attract any danger. So I knew I was in safe hands. Whose hands am I in? Lieutenant Commander Karoma. I'm in. He said, send me your phone number. I gave him the phone number of Goldman Sachs, the bank. He said, James Veach, I'm not sure you are real at all. You gave me phone numbers of a bank which I called, and they say that you are not real, that they don't know you. They even advised me to be very careful about you. Who are you? I am an army intelligence. Is that a thing? I said, there was never a shred of doubt in my mind that I was dealing with an intelligent. How can I prove to you that I am real? How can you prove that you are real in truth? How can any of us prove that we are real? P.S. What are you sending me? I've forgotten. He said the contents of the consignment is 1,000 carats of rough diamonds worth $7.5 million. I said, can I have a picture of the consignment? Well, yes, I can. Boom! He said, send me your ID, passport, driver's license, or any of your valid ID. It was valid at the time. He said, you will need to set up an account with our bank and pay the fee. I said, I'll set up a new account with your bank. There's an offer of a free toaster on at the moment, and I've got my heart set on it. He said, don't worry about getting a toaster. I thought, I'll be the judge of that. And then he told me to contact this bank, masquerading as the Royal Bank of Scotland. But what I love is their email address was info@royalbs, which I think is perfect. And then he said, don't delay. I don't have much days here on Earth. I said, when are you leaving Earth? He said, I have not seen anybody that is more unserious as you are. Even if I die soon, do you have to mock me with it? Just come to the bank. I said, look, I had no idea we were talking about your death. He said, what are you thinking I was talking about? Am I going to Mass? I said, where's Mass? Is that where the toaster is? He said, sorry, I mean Mars, one of the 9 planets of the solar system. Are we counting Pluto then? So I sent an email to Royal Bank of Scotland and I said, look, I'm writing to you about some bling Lieutenant Commander is leaving me, and a free toaster you're giving me for opening the account. And they got back to me, they said, please send us to fill in an account opening form, and there is no free toaster. Raj Ramesh, head of Costume Care. I said, dear Costume Care, are you sure? Because I heard I was getting a free gift for opening the account. What sort of costumes do you do? He said, there is no bonanza going on. And I thought that was an odd choice of word. And then he said, and even if there was, conditions would apply. This is what I sent them. I said, then how do you explain this? Free toaster. With any new account, toaster bonanza! No conditions apply. Thought, get out of that. They said, that do not include Royal Bank of Scotland worldwide. I said, what are my options? I could do with a new kettle. He said, we will appreciate it if you do not bring up this gifting again because you won't get any. Just to be clear, are you saying that if I bring it up again, I won't get it, and if I don't bring it up again, I will, or are you just saying I won't get it at all? He said, please stop talking of a free toaster. And I thought, that sounds like a broken man, right? I said, of course, I shan't bring it up again. You have my word. He said, look, what we want from you is to do the right things. I said, I've done some research. I think we should go for the Longifore slicer in red. He said, please stop emailing us. If you enjoyed that, I've got loads more. I spent the past 3 years replying to as many scam emails as I can on your behalf. More episodes are here, and just subscribe. And why not just subscribe?
Okay, so that is James Veach. And let's leave that for today. There's a lot of vocabulary in there. There are a lot of good expressions, phrases. In that video, and I don't want to make this a really long video today because you have a test coming up, but what I do want you to do, this is for your attendance check today. So this is your attendance check for today, is watch the video again and pick one of the words, phrases, expressions from that video that is maybe new or unfamiliar to you, and look it up. Make sure that you understand what it is and post the word, the expression, and a meaning or a usage of it on Kakao Talk. Okay? So pick one, and there are only 8 of you in this class, so if somebody has already chosen the one that you wanted, pick a different one, okay? So that we have 8 different answers in the Kakao chat, okay? All right, guys, have a great afternoon, and I'll see you Monday. Monday. Obviously, we have a quiz. Monday, the quiz will be online, and it will probably be a Google Forms document that you will receive, complete, and then send back to me. It will be at our regular class time. Okay, so for you guys, that is 10:30 a.m. on Monday. There will be a time limit for the regular class time. And to take it, we will be on Zoom. Okay, so everybody will need to come into Zoom with your web cameras on, web camera and microphone, and not microphone because then everybody can hear you. Okay, so we don't get background noise. But Zoom with cameras on, so I can see you just like I would be able to watch you in a classroom. Okay, and you'll receive the Google document. You will complete it and then send it back to me before class ends. Okay. All right, guys. So be prepared to sign in to Zoom on Monday. Make sure you have a quiet place to work on the exam by yourself. Okay. Um, no assistance. Okay. Nobody helping you. This is all you. Okay. Now, it is online. You are at your homes. So it will be um, open book. Okay. Because I cannot tell if you are looking something up on the internet, looking at your notes, looking at your papers. I can't see that. So you can do it. Okay. So you can make uh, some notes, some study guide for the exam. Um, but there, you will have to be very familiar with the material in order to take the exam. Okay. Because there will be enough questions that you do not have time to look everything up. Okay. Um, it will be challenging as far as time goes. So you will need to be very familiar with the material and comfortable with it before the exam. So you won't really have time to look everything up in a dictionary or to go back through PowerPoint slides and look for answers. You'll need to be very well prepared for the exam before it starts. Okay, guys, have a great weekend. I'll see you on Zoom on Monday on camera for the test. Have a great weekend.